Hello, and welcome back to my journey from normal to Norway. So, a quick update first, something I'm very excited about. As I've talked about many a time on this channel, I've been wanting to do a massive reorganizing, decluttering thing of my apartment, and I felt pretty overwhelmed by it. I have way more stuff than I need and wanting to get rid of things, but also, there's just a lot tied to the stuff, memories of, um, who gave it to me or when, or even just an obligation to keep something, knowing that it was given to me, or there's just various reasons, things that I used to collect that I just no longer have a passion for, but then there's this guilt in, like, well, I spent money collecting this thing, and so yeah. And then of course with the pandemic and I've also felt some guilt over that because, you could look at it as like, well, I'm working from home. I don't have the commute to work anymore. I don't have the same, amount of time going to that I did before. And, and I'm home all the time. So now would be the perfect time to do it, but then on the flip side of the same coin, it's also like, hey, it's depressing times. And so, like, it's hard to be motivated to do something. So, there's been this real push and pull for a long time in me of wanting to get this project underway and then just not being able to make it happen day to day. And then, being upset with myself for not doing it, but then trying to have grace with myself. And so, it's been a whole thing. But I'm excited to share that a couple weekends ago, I just really felt motivated and wanted to do it. And it was kind of a surprising turn of events because the whole time I thought that I would be going through my clothes first. That was just like what was the first part of the project to me. And when I got to that weekend, what I really felt like doing was my bathroom. So I just kind of followed that and said, well, hey, if I'm feeling like doing it, I'm going to do it. So I did a little bit at a time over the course of that weekend. And, cleaned my bathroom and got rid of some things and did some reorganizing. And I think what made me really excited to do it at that time was that I had bought a couple of things from Target to do a little bit of redecorating in there. And I was excited to see those things in use. And so I kind of finished off the project of working on my bathroom with, like, the treat of putting up that new decoration. And it just made me so happy. And now a couple weeks later, it still makes me really happy every time I see it or even think about it. And it's kind of funny. I ordered the stuff online, and I'm pretty sure that it's like meant for kids. It's like definitely part of a kids collection. Like all the other stuff in the brand, it's definitely geared towards kids. But I just don't care because I love multicolored, brightly colored, fun, happy things. And I think especially during this time, like, we need all the fun and joy we can get. And so this is something that has brightened up this little part of my life that has had an effect on me. I can feel it. It makes me happy to see it and to think about it. So it's for sure rainbow themed. So there's a shower curtain with a big rainbow on it, and there's a rug on the floor with a rainbow on it, and then there's this, like, canvas on the wall that has a hot air balloon painted in rainbow colors, and it has the word soar on it. And so it's just kind of like a nice sentiment, when I go into the bathroom. And, for those of us who have had, struggles with our appearance over the years, we know that looking into a mirror cannot be the most fun thing sometimes. And so you're going to go in the bathroom, you're going to see your reflection in the mirror. And it's just a really good, like, pick me up, this, like, soar. Like, I deserve to soar as much as anybody else. And so I'm not going to let the inner bully in me, hold me back and, like, tell me these lies about myself. So anyway, just a little update that part of the project got done, and I'm really happy with the results. And so now it's just, trying to not pressure myself so much on the pacing and timing of the rest of my apartment, and just kind of, go with it as I am motivated, and to again like have grace with myself on just the timing of that, the pace at which that happens. And yeah, we'll see what happens next. And of course, I will update you whenever it does, whatever the next part of the project is. So that's the update on that. Now, finally, we're getting to, what you'll know this episode is about based off of the title. And it's the beginning of my next series. So another series that I thought that I really wanted to do was just talking about why I love Norway. Like, why Norway? And it feels a little strange talking about it because I've only actually been to Oslo. And if I were to move there, I would want to live in Oslo. I'm a city girl for sure, as I've said. But I definitely have read a lot about the rest of Norway, and seen pictures and stories, and heard pieces of history from the rest of the country. But my really, only personal knowledge is in Oslo. So anyway, but here is the first piece of the puzzle on what I love about Norway, and I guess specifically I can talk about Oslo, is that the public transportation there is amazing. It's efficient and reliable, and I just have never lived in a place where that was the case. I've lived in San Antonio, Texas, and then LA, and these places are both really big on driving. So especially here in LA, I mean, if I'm leaving my apartment, like, I'm not walking anywhere, I'm hopping in my car to drive somewhere, and these drives can be quite long to not go very far, So, I mean, even going to work, which is like mere miles away. I mean, I think less than 10 miles. And in the mornings, it can take an hour, and at night, half an hour. I mean, that's an hour and a half of my day spent just driving. And, when I'm driving, I'm alone in my car. So it's this solitary thing, it's this slow moving thing. If there's an accident or construction, or even sometimes like tree trimming on one of these, windy roads going over the canyon to avoid the freeways, and they, for that portion of it, cut it down to, one direction of traffic at a time. I mean, that's going to set you back, and you don't know when this is coming. So, it can be really frustrating, and not that I have experience with this, but when people talk about dating in LA, I mean, a big deal is where in the city you live, because you can both be living in LA, but like the relationship is going to feel like a long distance relationship if, you're on opposite sides of the city. So, it's just tough, just that part of it, getting around, and I've lived here for almost 16 years, and I mean, I've seen the ocean, been to the beach, I would say less than a dozen times for sure. And I forget that the ocean is there because it feels so far away. It feels ridiculous to try to drive out there, and yeah, like, it's always a big deal of like getting to airports, going, if you're gonna pick a friend up or drop a friend off, it's like, that's a real friend, like, so, that was something that really struck me about, being in Oslo. And then from what I've heard about just even going outside of Oslo, getting to other parts of the country, especially there's supposed to be, a train ride from Oslo to the second biggest city, Bergen, that's like thought of as one of the most beautiful, train rides in the world. And so I definitely want to check that out whenever I go to visit again, or if I move there. And yeah, it was amazing. And even like there were two free apps that I downloaded on my phone when I went to visit. One of them was just purchasing like a public transportation ticket. So it was like you could do it from your phone. You didn't have to go anywhere or, interact with a person. You could buy like a one-time thing, or a one day, or a few days, or a week, or a year, or whatever. You had all these options, and it was super easy, and it kept like a countdown of like how much time was left on what you had purchased. And then in this other app, you could put in, your starting point and where you wanted to go, and it would give you all of these options and exact timings of how to get from point A to point B, and it would show you exactly like, okay, you're going to walk 3 minutes following this route, and then you're going to get on this, tram with this number, head in this direction, you're going to get off at this stop, and and it was just so detailed, and it made getting around so easy. And that's something that I was really nervous about when I went to visit, because I hadn't really done much public transportation in my life, and definitely not ever alone. And it was just super, super easy and convenient, and it made it feel like I could explore the city so much easier. It made it feel like everything was more accessible and closer, and that was a feeling that I really enjoyed, and I could see, if you had a friend who, was on the other side of the city, or wanted to go to an event that was, it would feel far away here, there, it wouldn't feel far away. It would be like, hey, see you in 10 minutes, see you in 15 minutes, whereas here it's like, see you in maybe a couple hours. I don't know. So, I really, really enjoyed that. I think it's something that I hadn't really taken into consideration before when thinking about a place that I would want to live in general. I don't think it's ever something that I thought would be a high priority to me, just because it's not really been part of my life a whole lot. But it's definitely something that after the fact I see and I think, yeah, I really liked that. I want more of that. And part of it was the accessibility of things, but then also part of it was just, I feel like it got me out more, or I felt like I was spending more time outside even just by doing that. Walking the few minutes to the tram, getting on the tram, walking the few minutes from there. And also, like, it's not such a solitary thing like being in a car. Like, you don't have to talk to anybody else, but you're sharing the space with other people, and even just kind of like seeing and hearing other people. And there was something about it that just I really enjoyed traveling around that way, and it felt definitely, yeah, I felt less isolated, and more active, and yeah, I just really enjoyed it. So that was kind of the first factor that I thought about. I have a few in mind to talk more about, and I'm sure more will come, because I really, really enjoyed it. So that's just the first part in this series, public transportation. Loved it. Thought it was great. Look forward to more. So that's it for now. I hope that you are all doing well. I know it continues to be very, very strange times here in the world, with the pandemic and everything. And yeah, it can be a little tricky, the farther we go into this, where it feels for different parts of the world, and even different parts of the country, and even different parts of your own state, it can feel like other people are in very different places. For a little while there, it felt like we were all in the same boat together, and now it's like, oh, some people have succeeded and moved on. And then it can be very frustrating for me personally. It is frustrating to look around and to think, within my own country, like, come on, people, get it together. Like, like, we could really be helping ourselves out right now. We could really be helping out those around us who need it right now. And then people just kind of, either not implementing or enforcing or refusing to follow those helpful guidelines. So, yeah, it's sad, it's frustrating, it's heartbreaking, it's all sorts of things. And so, in the midst of it, though, life continues. And as one of my best friends said recently, it's still a really good year. I mean, we've all got so much stuff that we're going through, and some of us are really suffering more than others. I'm very fortunate to be in the position I'm in, but it was such a good reminder and like a bright spot in the middle of all of the frustration and the suffering, to think, you know what? Yeah, good things are still happening this year. There are still things to celebrate. There is still growth happening. And so I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for that reminder from her. And I'm really happy to be able to pass it along to you. So for any of you out there who need to hear it, 2020 is tough. Not at all what we expected or hoped for or dreamed of, but it's still a good year. It can still be a good year. So I hope that comforts you, encourages you, motivates you, whoever you are, wherever you are, yeah, wherever you're at in this crazy pandemic journey or portion of the journey. It's just a portion. We're going to look back on this and see that it was just a bump in the road. It just feels bigger right now. So, we're in this together. I'm going to get over this bump in the road together. I'm so glad that I'm not alone in this. Thank you for being there. Thank you for watching and listening as always. I will be back with you soon. And until then, ha det.